Hello friends, our today's lecture is based on Bryophytes classification proposed by G.M. Smith in 1955 and economic importance. This is the flowchart of classification of Bryophytes proposed by G.M. Smith in 1955. He put all bryophytes under the division Bryophyta. Further, he divided three classes of division Bryophyta. These three classes are according to their morphology, their anatomy, as well as their gametes and alternation of generation. So, the morphology, then anatomy, then the sexual reproduction and alternation of generation. These are the four criteria behind this classification, or this classification based on these important characteristics. These three classes are Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida and Bryopsida. Hepaticopsida, commonly called as liverworts. The liverworts means their thallus is liver-like. Liver means human liver-like. Then Anthoceratopsida, they are called as hornworts or horn-like. Horn means ज्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये गुरांची शिंग म्हणतो ते म्हणजे hornworts. And Bryopsida, third class, commonly called as mosses. So in this way, the division Bryophyta divided into three classes, namely Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida and Bryopsida. Now the important characteristic of these three classes one by one. Now the first class, Hepaticopsida. The gametophyte. Gametophyte means what? The plant body which produces the gametangia, male gametangium anthridium and female gametangium archegonium. And due to these two gametangia, the plant body causes the sexual reproduction. So that is the gametophyte. Okay? The gametophyte, and in case of bryophytes, the gametophytic plant body is the dominant plant body. Okay? Long-lived plant body. Then typically green plant body. Okay? The gametophyte which forms the main plant body is independent. Independent means in what case it is independent? It is independent for absorption of the water minerals from the soil, and it can synthesize its own food material as it is a green plant, as it is a photosynthetic plant. Okay, nutritionally it is independent. It cannot dependent on the other plant body, because this plant body itself synthesizes its own food material, absorb the water and minerals independently from the soil, so called as independent plant body. Then dorsal and ventral sides are different, and thalloid plant body is a simple thallus-like structure. Thallus means undifferentiated plant body, or foliose. Foliose means leaf-like, and thallus is always leaf-like. Okay, number 2, the thalloid forms. The plant body is prostrate. Prostrate means horizontal to the substratum. Then lobed. At the tip of the plant body, the small lobed structures are there, and dichotomously branched. And in case of Hepaticopsida, the thallus is dichotomously like a Gemini. It produces a branched structure, that is dichotomously branching. Number 3, the ventral surface of the thallus bears many unicellular, unbranched, smooth-walled and tuberculate rhizoids and scales. Rhizoids and scales are present toward the ventral side of the thallus. Ventral means lower side of the thallus. From that side, the thallus is attached to the soil substratum or rock substratum or moist, any moist substratum. Okay, and that thallus is attached to the substratum with the help of rhizoids. And these rhizoids are two types, smooth-walled as well as tuberculate. Okay, these are the two types of rhizoids. and they are unicellular structures and they are unbranched structures. Okay, they are rhizoids are unicellular and unbranched. Along with rhizoids, the scales also present over the lower side, means ventral side of the thallus. These scales are helpful for the rhizoids. In adverse environmental conditions or in regular conditions, they help to the rhizoids in absorption of the moisture, as well as they can store the moisture which is requirement for the regular growth or regular day-to-day activities of the thallus. Then number 4, anatomically means internally. Anatomically, thallus is either simple or complex and is divided of mechanical tissue. Okay, some very minor cell complexation may be there. Okay, then photosynthetic cells contain numerous chloroplasts without pyrenoids. When you take the transverse section of the thallus, at that time we can find the internal structure where the photosynthetic cells are there, storage cells are there. As per the classes, Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida and Bryopsida, there is somewhat changes. But here in Hepaticopsida, photosynthetic cells are many. They having the numerous chloroplast without pyrenoids, and pyrenoids are nothing but the starch synthesizing bodies, and these pyrenoids are absent. Then number 6 character, vegetative multiplication takes place by death and decay of the older parts of the thallus and by adventitious branches, gymi or tubers. Okay, these bryophytes Hepaticopsida vegetatively reproduces by many ways. Okay, and here some of their examples: death and decay of the older parts of the thallus. Here fragmentation is the most important thing. Then by adventitious branches are developed when these new branches cut their connection from the mother thallus. They germinate individually and produce new individual thallus. Not germinate, they grows independently and produce new thallus. Then gymi are nothing but the gymi or gymma bodies. They are developed in the gymma cup. That is one, for example, Markantia example is there, or small tubers are there. Example, Rixia. Number 7, species are homothallic or heterothallic. This is the sexual differentiation. In case of homothallic differentiation, thallus is the same. Single thallus produce the male reproductive organ antheridium and female reproductive organ archegonium. But in case of heterothallic condition, two plant bodies are different. One is male, another one is the female. Male produces the antheridium, male reproductive structure, and female thallus produce the female reproductive structure, archegonium. The both sexual differentiation can present in the Hepaticopsida. Number 8, the sex organs occupy the dorsal or terminal position on the thallus. They are either embedded in the thallus or stalked. So these characteristics regarding the antheridium as well as the archegonium, they present toward the dorsal side or terminal or distal end of the thallus. Okay, either they are embedded म्हणजे रुतलेले असतात, embedded in the thallus, or they are present on the small stalk. At that time we can call it as the stalked structures. Okay, means the thallus produces a small stalk. Suppose anthridiophore or archegoniophore. PHORE4 means stalk. On that stalk, these structures can be developed. Number 9, the sporophyte is simple. Sporophyte means what? Spore producing structure is called as the sporophyte. In case of bryophytes, spore producing plant body is the sporophytic plant body, which is totally depend upon the gametophytic plant body. Why gametophytic plant body? Because gametophytic plant body produces the antheridium, archegonium, and sexual reproduction takes place in antheridium and archegonium. Means antheridium produces sperm and archegonium having the egg. The sperm fuses with the egg in the archegonium, and at the position of the archegonium where previously it is present on the gametophytic plant body, at that place the sporophytic structure can be developed. So sporophytic plant body dependent upon gametophytic plant body for the nourishment. Okay. Number 9, the sporophyte is simple. represented by capsule. Capsule is nothing but the sporangium, spore producing structure. Typically, the sporophytic parts are foot, seta and capsule. Foot, seta and capsule, these are the typical parts of the sporophyte. But in case of hepatic opsida, either in some genera only capsule, sporangium is present. Example, Rixia, or differentiated into foot, seta and capsule. These three parts of the sporophyte may be present. Example is the Markantia. Number 10 and last, the spores gives rise to gametophyte on germination. When spores are releasing from the capsule or from the sporangium, they can germinate and they can produce the new individual plant body, which is the gametophytic plant body in hepatic opsida. Second class is the Anthoceratopsida, commonly called as hornworts. Here gametophytic plant body is the flat, then dorsal side, ventral sides are different, then lobed, at the tip lobes are there, and thalloid, simple plant body, like the hepatic opsida. Number 2, thallus is attached to the substratum with the help of smooth walled rhizoids. In hepatic opsida, we can find two types of branches, smooth walled and tuberculated, but here only smooth walled rhizoids are there. Instead of rhizoids, in hepatic opsida, the scales are also present, but here scales are absent. Number 3, the thallus has a uniform internal organization and is not differentiated into photosynthetic and storage region. The cells have many chloroplasts with pyrenoids. In hepatic opsida, the thallus is internally divided into two parts, photosynthetic region, storage region. Photosynthetic region having the photosynthetic cells having the chloroplast, and storage region, they can store the food material, and such photosynthetic region and storage region differentiation cannot present in the Anthoceratopsida. All cells are alike, all cells are similar in structure. They are working for photosynthesis as well as storage. Okay, and here the chloroplast with pyrenoids are present. Pyrenoids also, starch synthesizing bodies, pyrenoids also present. Number 4, air pores toward the dorsal side. In hepatic opsida, air pores are there, but here in case of Anthoceratopsida, air pores and air chambers are absent. Okay, but intercellular mucilage cavities are present, which opens the ventral surface by slit-like slime pores. Okay, the intercellular spaces are present, and that intercellular spaces are opens toward the ventral side of the thallus, so that due to that opening, many cyanobacteria, many blue-green algae, many cyanophycean, mixophycean members called as blue-green algae, they can symbiotically associated with the Anthoceratopsida members. Example, Anthoceros. Number 6, the sex organs are embedded in the thallus. Antheridia develop on the dorsal surface from the hypodermal cells. They occupy singly or in groups in the antheridial chambers. Okay, we already discussed this characteristic in previous class, but here important thing is that the antheridia present singly or in group in single antheridial chamber. Number 7, archegonia develop from dorsal epidermal cells. It is also common thing, same like the hepatic opsida. Number 8, the sporophyte is differentiated into a long cylindrical capsule, a small meristematic seta and bulbous foot is present. So this is the new characteristic which is not present in the hepatic opsida. In case of hepatic opsida, foot, seta and capsule is present, example Markantia, or only capsule is present, example Rixia. But in case of Anthoceratopsida, example is the Anthoceros, the sporophyte is differentiated into long cylindrical capsule. इथं कसं आहे, असं उभं आपण बॉलपेनची रिफिल कशी बघतो, असे बॉलपेनच्या रिफिल सारखं छोटंसं स्ट्रक्चर 1-2 सेंटीमीटरचं दिसतं आपल्याला ते कॅप्सूल. अँड हिअर सेटा इज द मेरिस्टेमॅटिक अँड फूट इज द बल्बस. बल्बस म्हणजे असं फुगीर झालेलं. bulb like. Number 9. The capsule wall is 4 to 6 layered and the epidermis has stomata. The capsule wall 4 to 6 layered and the epidermis of the walls having the stomata in toward the dorsal side as well as the ventral side as well as the on toward the dorsal side as well as on the capsule. Okay, this is about the Anthocerotopsida. Next is the class Bryopsida, commonly called as mosses. Number 1. Protonema stage. Protonema stage is somewhat different. It is only present in Bryopsida, means present only in mosses, which is absent in the Anthocerotopsida and Hepaticopsida. In Hepaticopsida and Anthocerotopsida, the spore directly germinate and produce the gametophytic plant body. But in case of mosses, Bryopsida, the spore germinate, it produces the protonema and protonema further produces the gametophytic plant body. So protonema is the intermediate structure in between the spore germination and the gametophytic plant body. Protonema stage, it is the juvenile means young, very young stage. It is the juvenile stage of gametophyte, represented by prostrate, horizontal to substratum, creeping, green and branched filamentous structure. It develops from the spore and is only a transitory vegetative stage. It is only transitory, only intermediate stage. It is a not final stage. Final stage is the gametophyte which is developing from the protonema. Number 2, the main axis of the gametophore means gametophytic plant body. The main axis of the gametophore may be branched or unbranched. Here these branches are leafy branches. Their plant body is the erect, not horizontal or not prostrate to the substratum. In case of Bryopsida, plant body is the erect, अशी सरळ उभी आहे, त्याला असे लीव्ज लाईक स्ट्रक्चर आलेले आहेत. मधलं सेंट्रल जे स्टेम सारखं स्ट्रक्चर आहे त्याला आपण ॲक्सिस म्हणतो. ओके, द मेन ॲक्सिस ऑफ द गॅमेटोफाइट म्हणजेच गॅमेटोफोर मे बी ब्रांच और अनब्रांच्ड. ते मेन ॲक्सिस कसं आहे, ब्रांचड आहे किंवा अनब्रांचड. लीव्ज आर सिंपल. लीव्ज कसे आहेत, सिंपल. minute, sessile means without stalk and usually with a distinct midrib. त्याच्यामध्ये midrib असे तुम्हाला दिसते. They are only one cell in thickness. त्याची थिकनेस कशी आहे, एकाच सेल पासून झालेली आहे. सॉरी. Number 4, the rhizoids are multicellular. Here rhizoids are multicellular, branched and have oblique septa. In case of previous two classes, the rhizoids are unicellular and here rhizoids are multicellular. They are branched, where that they are unbranched and have oblique septa. The septum is the obliquely placed septa is there. Number 5, the axis is differentiated into a central conducting tissue and peripheral cortex. When you take the transverse section of the axis, you find out that at the center there is a conducting tissue, but which cannot distinguish it as a xylem and phloem. Only centrally located conducting stand is present toward its outer peripheral means toward its outer side. Toward its outer side, cortex is present and cortex is always storage in function. Number 6, vegetative multiplication takes place by fragmentation, stolons, branching of protonema, special leafy shoots, gymmi and persistent apices. So these are the different types of vegetative multiplication in Bryopsida. Number 7, sex organs are born in groups at the apices of the branches. The plants are dioecious and monoecious. You see here the sex organs are directly develops in the group. Okay, but in case of previous two classes, they are developed in the antheridial chambers. They are directly born on the apices of the branches. Apices means tip of the branches, apex of the branches. The plants are dioecious or monoecious. Dioecious, monoecious, these are the two sexual differentiation which already these terms we already discussed. Number 8. The antheridia are club-shaped, narrow and elongated. They are club-shaped, narrow and elongated structure. Then number 9. The male gametes, antherozoids. Male gametes are called as antherozoids as well as spermatozoids. They are biflagellate and spirally coiled. And in case of bryophytes, the sperms are biflagellate, but here in Bryopsida, they are not simple, they are coiled. Number 10. The archegonia are stalked with a much elongated neck and a massive venter. In case of previous two classes, the neck is not as such elongated, but here in case of archegonia, the stalk is much elongated. Okay. Then number 11. The sporophyte is usually differentiated into fruit, seta and capsule. All the parts of sporophyte is present in Bryopsida. The elongated seta raises the capsule much above the gametophyte to facilitate the dispersal of spores. Here seta is very long, and due to very long, the capsule or sporangium is much above than the plant body, and it is for the easy dispersion of the spores. Number 12. The capsule usually has a peristome which helps in the dispersal of the spores. Peristomal teeth are present at the mouth of the capsule of the or sporangium, and that peristomal teeth or peristome is useful for the dispersion of the spores, which is the mechanism present in the Bryopsida. Number 13. The spores on germination first form a protonema and the leafy gametophore develops from the protonema. This characteristic we already discussed in the beginning of the Bryopsida. At the spore germination, it produces the protonema, and later on protonema produce the gametophytic plant body, which is the erect as well as the leafy. In this way, the characteristic of classes Hepaticopsida, Anthoceratopsida and Bryopsida are over. Now the next aspect of our study, that is the economic importance of bryophytes. First is the ecological importance of bryophytes. The liverworts means Hepaticopsida members, then mosses, Bryopsida members, and lichens. Okay, lichen is one of the plant group which is made by structural and functional combination of algae as well as the fungi. Sorry. The liverworts, mosses and lichens are supposed to be pioneers in establishing vegetation, where other vegetation seems to be practically impossible. Okay, they are pioneers in establishing of the vegetation and they can facilitate the environment or facilitate that soil for the development of the other angiospermic vegetation. They colonize the barren rocks and exposed areas of the hills and make them suitable for growing angiospermic and other plants by depositing humus, soil and plant debris. Okay. आता हे काय करतात, उघड्या माळावरचे थंड हवेच्या ठिकाणी जिथं मॉइश्चर भरपूर आहे अशा ठिकाणी उघड्या माळावर किंवा मोठ्या दगडांवर किंवा जमिनीवर असे स्वतःची भरपूर ग्रोथ करतात, आणि भरपूर ग्रोथ केल्यामुळं तिथली सॉईल इरोजन थांबतं. सॉईल इरोजन थांबल्यानंतर मॉइश्चर अवेलेबल होतं, तर त्यानंतर मग ह्युमस कंडिशन होते, आणि ती ह्युमस कंडिशन अँजिओस्पर्मिक प्लांटच्या ग्रोथसाठी अतिशय उपयुक्त आहेत, आणि अशा ठिकाणी भरपूर झाडांची समाधानकारक एक लक्झुरियंट वाढ झालेली आपल्याला दिसते. अ फ्यू ब्रायोफाइट्स प्ले ॲन इम्पॉर्टंट रोल इन चेकिंग द सॉईल इरोजन. काही ब्रायोफाइट्स असे आहेत ते काय करतात तर जमिनीची धूप थांबवतात. हे अतिशय महत्त्वाचं कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक आहे टू अवॉइड द सॉईल इरोजन. नंबर 2, पॅकिंग मटेरियल. मोस्ट ऑफ द मॉसेस म्हणजे ब्रायोप्सिडा मेंबर्स मोस्ट ऑफ द मॉसेस आर यूज्ड ॲज पॅकिंग मटेरियल आफ्टर बिंग ड्राईड. हे मॉसेस ड्राय झाल्यानंतर पॅकिंग मटेरियल म्हणून वापरलं जातं. दे मेक ए फेअरली गुड पॅकिंग मटेरियल इन केस ऑफ ग्लासवेअर अँड अदर फ्रॅगाईल गुड्स. एक्झाम्पल इज द स्पॅग्नम. स्पॅग्नम जो मासा आहे तो ड्राय झाल्यानंतर पॅकिंग मटेरियल म्हणून वापरलं जातं. कशासाठी? पॅकिंग केल्यानंतर ते मटेरियल ट्रान्सपोर्ट करतो आपण, बरोबर आहे. मोठ्या कंपनीमार्फत हे मटेरियल ट्रान्सपोर्ट केलं जातं. कसलं मटेरियल? ग्लासवेअर, काचेपासून तयार झालेलं मटेरियल. आणि दुसरं म्हणजे फ्रॅगाईल. फ्रॅगाईल म्हणजे काय? अतिशय नाजूक, डेलिकेट मटेरियल. त्याचं एक्झाम्पल काय? स्पॅग्नम. पॅकिंग मटेरियल म्हणून काय वापरलं जातं? स्पॅग्नम मॉस. नंबर 3, यूज्ड इन सीड बेड्स सिन्स द पीट मॉसेस. पीट म्हणजे कोण? हे स्पॅग्नम मॉसेस. ते स्पॅग्नम मॉसलाच काय म्हणलं जातं? तर पीट मॉस म्हणलं जातं. सिन्स द पीट मॉसेस हॅव रिमार्केबल पॉवर टू द ॲब्सॉर्ब अँड होल्ड वॉटर लाईक ए स्पंज. ओके. They are extensively used in seed beds and greenhouses to root cuttings. The peat mosses are also used to maintain high soil acidity required by certain plants. आता इथं काय आहे? हे पीट मॉसेस म्हणजे हे सगळे स्पॅग्नम सारखे मॉसेस. त्यामध्ये काय? त्यांची वॉटर ॲब्सॉर्बिंग करायची, बरोबर आहे, आणि होल्ड करून ठेवायची. अतिशय रिमार्केबल म्हणजे काय म्हणायचं त्याला, भरपूर त्याच्यामध्ये कॅपॅसिटी आहे. आणि स्पंजी नेचर असल्यामुळं ते काय केलं जातं? सीड बेड म्हणून ग्रीन हाऊसेसमध्ये वापरलं जातं, स्टेम कटिंगला वगैरे, किंवा एखाद्या सीड जर्मिनेशनच्या एक्सपेरिमेंटसाठी. अँड ड्यू टू देअर दे कॅन मेंटेन हाय सॉईल ॲसिडिटी. काही प्लांटला हाय सॉईल ॲसिडिटी पाहिजे असते, ते पण काय होतं तर ब्रायोफाईट ते हाय सॉईल ॲसिडिटी मेंटेन केल्यामुळं ते झाडालाही सहजासहजी मिळू शकतं. ओके. नंबर 4, ऑफ फ्युएल. द पीट मीन्स ड्राईड स्पॅग्नम मटेरियल इज ऑल्सो ए पोटेन्शियल सोर्स ऑफ कोल. बरोबर आहे. कोळशासारखं अतिशय महत्त्वाचं फ्युएल आहे ते. ड्राईड पीट मे बी यूज्ड ॲज फ्युएल. ते आपण फ्युएल म्हणून वापरतो. इन आयर्लंड, स्कॉटलँड अँड अदर युरोपियन कंट्रीज द पीट इज यूज्ड फॉर फ्युएल. हे स्पॅग्नम जे आहे ते आहे ना, फ्युएल म्हणून वापरलं जातं. नंबर 5, ॲब्सॉर्बंट बँडेजेस. द स्पॅग्नम प्लांट्स आर स्लाइटली अँटीसेप्टिक. त्यामध्ये अँटीसेप्टिक प्रॉपर्टी आहे स्लाइटली. अँड पजेसेस सुपेरियर ॲब्सॉर्बटिव्ह पॉवर. आणि ॲब्सॉर्ब करून घेण्याची, ब्लॉटिंग पेपर कसा ॲब्सॉर्ब करून घेतो तशी पण त्याच्यामध्ये ॲब्सॉर्बिंग पॉवर आहे. ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ दीज प्रॉपर्टीज दे मे बी यूज्ड फॉर फिलिंग ॲब्सॉर्बंट बँडेजेस इन प्लेस ऑफ कॉटन इन द हॉस्पिटल्स. आणि त्याच्या ह्या अँटीसेप्टिक प्रॉपर्टीमुळं आणि ॲब्सॉर्बटिव्ह प्रॉपर्टीमुळं कापसाच्या ठिकाणी हे काय म्हणतात त्याला, बँडेजेस करत असताना, जखम झाल्यानंतर बँडेज केलं जातं त्याला, बरोबर आहे. त्या बँडेज करत असताना कापसाच्या ठिकाणी ते अल्टरनेटिव्ह म्हणून वापरलं जातं. ओके. नंबर 6, वेस्ट वॉटर ट्रीटमेंट. द पीट इज हायली ॲब्सॉर्बंट अँड परमिएबल फिजिकली. पोरस आहे. परमिएबली म्हणजे तसं पोरस आहे. इट इज नोन ॲज ॲब्सॉर्ब टॉक्झिक मेटल्स. It is known to absorb toxic metals. Therefore, sphagnum is used an effective filtering and absorptive agent for the treatment of wastewater. So this is one of the very, very, very important use of the bryophytes. Here, these mosses, particularly sphagnum moss, is very effective filtering the toxic remove or absorb the toxic substances present in the wastewater. In this way, these are the important uses of the bryophytes. So this is the reference I have used while preparation of my presentation. Thank you.